Onward the echoes, play, replay of tiles and their cobbled sound imitations of a mass of pilgrim feet. Onward push of chalk feet, and ours are there too. On a dry morning like this, sweep of wind makes your elbows ash to match the shell wash of this plaza. The morning ushers on its rousing, making your feet move down the way where sunlight shafts struggle to peek through the avenue of trees to the floor. Live oak, Spanish moss. They are reflected in one window while contemporary gallery visitors and the contemplations are reflected in another. Out here, I'm watching one person sitting on a bench and is joined by others watching the benched one speak in etiquette greetings and lifting of eyes that show a familiarity with Irish society. How a person smiles this way and that way to put violent creatures at ease. To humor them as they claim and occupy space, they think their presence might turn from their idea of worthless to their idea of worth something. There's inflection of speech to approximate amusement at almost every declaration coming from bloodlusting lips. The playing of attentive audience at their monologues, all the ohing and ahhing to make them think, even all these centuries later, they still hold command of the scene. A cloud passes overhead. I think about the weather, and I think about existence. I feel a powdered fog and accept the temporary nature of its presence. The mist moves slowly to reveal non-existent shapes and motions in the crowds. Each mirage a meditation chant. This unfolding isn't what you think it's about. This unfolding isn't what you think it's about. This unfolding isn't what you think it's about. But then maybe it is. The air warms up now, giving permission to homeostasis to ask for a balancing drink. A sip to treat my tongue to something nostalgic. Did that sunburn water massage the back of your throat and remind you of lunch break on the farm in the hilly tropics with grandma? Eucalyptus, jacaranda. Beauty was everything. Beauty was sublime. Now it only rests on my shoulders when there's music involved. Soundtrack to a childhood of refuse dump scavenging for gourds. The kind that ballooned from plants that grew amongst garbage so I could sell to the craftsman who used them for his xylophones. Lately, I play dirges. I'm 26 thinking about death, except maybe not thinking of death, but perhaps preoccupied with sheer mortality. The sun and breeze play the repetitive games on my skin in this city plaza. Come, go, shade, shine. How many weathers had to hold silent to allow for this dominant weather's presence? Once, you said there's many particles of dark matter that hide behind the universe scene, but pave the way for the glory of matter scene. Still, we relegate one lineage to the disclaimer dark, and the other is simply matter, canonized. A bird started chirping its morning call as I look at you and the shuffling people. It's not talking to me. But my ears eavesdrop and Margaret's whistles to tell my brain, it's here, over and over, over and over. In this season, when doing is having, when having is being. Thank you.
And I would love to share 2 very short poems. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
The first one from my book, Bloom Forever, a collection of 115 poems written over 25 plus years of my life. It's titled, Love Must Win. Words bristle and emotions flare, hearts aching to know we care. Words bristle and emotions flare, hearts aching to know we care. Can you feel that? Fear of rejection, unknown needs, pain flows in and out despite our deeds. Bruised, bleeding, past hurts unhealed, praying, crying, I quietly kneel. Love must win. Love must fight. Love will always conquer the night. The second poem is titled Journey's Light, and it's from a book I collaborated on with my wonderful partner, Stan Johnson. He couldn't be here tonight, but he took all the photography, and I wrote all the inspirational poetry. And the poem is titled Journey's Light. The journey is light, so mustn't hold tight. Be free and embrace with ease that in which we delight. All will circle toward where it once began, as life reveals the beauty in what is unplanned. Storms may brew and houses may fall, but love builds a fortress that will always stand tall. Want not for comfort, vanity, shells crushed. Shelter each other with mutual trust.
I truly believe that we are all here to help each other heal on this planet. And so for this collection of moments that we call life, none of us build one all by ourselves. This running together to stardust that we call humanity is a shared collection of effort. So that being said, I'd like to read you a poem that I call Epitaphs. Rubbings of a child. Clutter in an attic for a family of mice. I'll sleep here, yawns the graphite. So tired, the rest echo. Was poured all my life, one murmurs. All my people were poor. Theirs too, poor. It was like a disease, a sickness passed from one generation to the next, rubbed into them like dirt into a wound, hovers over our lives like the creak of a windmill. You can't see it, but you can feel it as it comes back around. With every breath, it's there. Wavers in the air like the creak of an old stair, groans a difference as you drift past the deathbeds bordering each town. No book holds their names, just a few shallow dents in stone. Part 2. Sometimes on fight nights, I'd slip quietly out our back door, go cry in the cold bed of Daddy's pickup. With the nearest streetlights over 20 miles away, millions of stars, like sprinkles slung on the hot tar, would melt over me. Places like this crumbling crepe mill town called Irvine, Florida, had been carved by my ancestors' ghosts from Central Florida's briar patches and piney woods more than a century ago. The procession of lives, challenging fate and destiny's waltz, caught somewhere between past futures and now, still wander those same woods, holding hands with my youth. We settled on that lonely corner of the world like a fine layer of dust, which eventually covers all man's misspent efforts. No more hollow promises were being offered to noble savages. No more corn being tossed by the victor's descendants to chickens scratching at dirt yards over their graves. No more hand-scrubbed overalls being hung out to dry. They'd all flapped off into eternity like faded doves. Only their hearth rubble remained, scattered amongst the blackberries along with a few stone stoops that led to nothing. No axes rang in the thickets while saw blades whined and smoking locomotives hauled away the empty boxes stained with their sweat, clacking up and down a spur of tracks that would become the highway over there. The shadows of sinewed men who walked back and forth from this last house may have fed those boarded-up boilers. They stand cold and silent at the tree line, their cares forgotten. Accompanying this indelible reel on memory's projector, a crackling audio plays along instead. My parents' muffled curses being thrown at each other inside that shack, seep through the thin siding. Broken dishes crashing off walls, mixed with the fragments of a family's shattered dreams, only to be swept beneath the rug once more with the swirling dust at dawn. This unintelligible dialogue of despair's drunken fury, just another generation's pent-up frustration. And their lament would last forever, echoed over and over again by shadowy wraiths in the thickets, hidden children, bob whites and whippoorwills, all crying out shamelessly to one another in front of thousands of crickets who stay busy crossing and uncrossing their legs as we all settle back to watch this flickering shadow of tomorrow's stars. That's for stories that try me to help understand how I became the man underneath the wheels of the log truck that did this to me 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And that book will be ready to send to publishers this fall.
Yay.
The words I write, they don't bring life to the emotions that are bottled up inside. If I speak, I'm heard. But when I try to speak, my words escape me. My voice can't bring forth the fruits of my thoughts. Am I lost? When I left the house the other day, my man said to me, beat them off with a bat. And I was like, yeah, right. I can't see why he thinks I'm a walking beauty because I'm so concerned about the state of my inner beauty. I have a hard time demanding respect because I lack the desire to be overly aggressive. But that's my problem. The words that are in my heart, they're full of power. They need a voice to give them their due. But when I try to speak, my words escape me. My voice can't bring forth the fruits of my thoughts. Am I lost? A long time ago, I worked with an old man that had 75 years under his belt. He swallowed 14 pills daily. He swallowed 14 pills daily. This is true. But those 14 pills ain't nothing like the pills I have to swallow. See, because society tells me to open up my mouth and open up wide, but I say open up your minds. You and I, we're part of the generation that is asked to accept the possible reality of the discovery of the missing link between man and ape. You and I, we're part of the generation that is asked to associate the word breast with sex and not with baby. We're supposed to teach our children about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy in one breath and tell them not to lie in the next. No disrespect, but you and I, we're part of the generation that is asked to believe that 9/11 was the greatest tragedy of all times. Like this was the first time innocent lives were lost. But what about the mass genocide that has systematically destroyed a population of people? What about the murder of millions of brown-eyed brothers and sisters whose bones are at the bottom of some ocean somewhere? And how about the Native Americans that have been reduced to reservations in the names of professional baseball teams? And let's not forget to mention the Tuskegee experiment, where for the sake of science, this so-called civilized nation embraced inhumane acts and justified as being for the sake of humanity. So fortunate for some and unfortunate for others, you reap what you sow. When we sow seeds of racial inequality, we pump up the idea of America, the great civilized society. We reap police brutality, we reap the Amadou Diallo, we reap the nameless inner city so-called bad boys whose only claim to fame is the cars they drive, the girls they screwed, and the jail time they spent that made them hard. Yes, hard to swallow. It's hard to swallow the statistical ratio of black men in jail compared to college. But I guess that's just another pill, right? So it's not that I'm arrogant, and it's not that I'm shy. It's that I see this world through a different set of eyes. And sometimes I feel like it's me and my view, and then there's everyone else. But I know it's people out there who feel me. It's people who understand that when you're a woman, your worth, your value as a person isn't determined by how sexy you are. And it's not just about talking about being strong, because strength lies in actions. Speaking lip service to quench my appetite for recognition doesn't make me strong, no. My strength comes from supporting my man. My strength comes from raising my boys to be real men. My strength comes from not being intimidated by being the only African American in my program of study at the time. My strength is expressing my unwillingness to bow down to the conditions of work the American society places on me. Because I don't have to be first, and I don't have to be last. My hair don't have to be straight, and my nails don't need to be painted. My college degrees aren't what makes me intelligent. I can think for myself and speak for myself. I can choose to swallow the pills placed before me, or I can choose to push them aside. I can accept the responsibility of earning respect, and I can strive to be beautiful inside and out. I can be Amira Hanifa Sims, and that's okay.
The Lord is my provider. I shall never be in neglect. He has made me to recline in dingy urine-stench alleyways. And underneath bridges and tunnels, he leads me beside the token boots to the steps of Gothic cathedrals in a path of righteous parishioners to plead my case for daily bread. Every morning when I rise from my house of cardboard, he gives me new strength on those stark, cold, wintry nights when the wind chill factor is below human. And I retreat into an abandoned building for protection from the wind's enduring bite. I will fear no violence, for my knife and a battered Bible are nestled beside me. The local shelter has prepared a sumptuous, lukewarm meal of mac and cheese. For my consumption, the table is adorned in candlelight, covered with plastic flowers. My shower stall is flowing with rivers of living waters. My cup is brimming with thanksgiving while the police are parked outside waiting to arrest me for loitering in a place where I've never been. Surely the donations of a few good Samaritans will sustain me, and I will dwell on the streets of the inner city forevermore.
It's the little things, like the sound of your happy and the smell of your smile. It doesn't make sense, but you awaken every sense in me by being you. I wish I got to know you sooner. It's how you handle your sad with gentleness and patience. Who does that? You respect your anger. It doesn't show up often, and when you invite it over, it's a welcome guest, but it never overstays its welcome. I wish I got to know you sooner. I admire how you move in darkness. It isn't much different from how you move in light. You are kind to me, and that's new. The old me wouldn't recognize you. I started falling in love for the first time this year with myself. I encourage everybody to try.
Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yet though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Quickly, before I left my city, I was raised in a trailer park with my mom. My dad was going a lot. I'm the 12th child. She like the 4th, 5th baby mom, maybe the 6th. And I had some hard-headed cousins. A lot of people getting killed around me. breaking ins, robberies, answering kids on drugs at a young age. One of my homies did coke at 12. You know what I'm saying? I ain't do no coke, but I showed, selling a little piece and doing whatever. And my grades was failing. I was skipping school, disrespectful, disobedient. And on June 9, 2014, I got into 2 fights that day with the same person. I beat him up, but I didn't feel like I won. And as I walked around the corner, a lady saw me. I know it was Miss Bridget. And she called me over and started to speak to me. She asked me what was wrong. And of course, like all kids, we say nothing. And it started to rain a little bit. And she said, God, I got a plan for you. She said, step in my car real quick. And when I stepped in, the lady shook like she caught a seizure, but now I know what it was. And she told me my past, my present, and my future. And when I say everything lined up, and before I left, she gave me a challenge. She said, go learn Psalms 23. When you learn by heart, come back and read it to me. I wrote it on the tablet of my heart. I ended up, cutting off my dreads. I broke free from drugs. All the fake friends I had around me, I isolated myself. And I went from all F's and I graduated all A's. I'm here to tell my story.
Firekeeper, tethered to the highest steeple, risen from the stormy seas where stories sleep until they're needed. Cave of cobwebs, white wolf howling, woman wandering, river roaring, buried boat, its timbers groaning, buzzing pots of wasps and hornets. He abandoned 7 daughters by the border river's waters, play the pipe around the field of the breath of pipes, the breath of slaughter. Singe the mouse's whiskers often, quest the night the road behind him, smell of sulfur, hand-clapped bargain, big black dog with empty coffin. Crawl into the old wolf's cave, or fix the scythe and shine the blade, then seek for death upon the waves. The black-clad man demands his payment. Thorn by thorn, the prince reviving, black-cloaked woman living, dying, giant blows the ice flames, sending swirls of snow and ice shards flying. Blow the flower into fire. Leopard dive into the mire. Raven's feathers once were white, but smoke holes suits blessed lions. Children, choose the land or sea. The lasses gather thistle seed, and ships will guide and horses lead you to the cup where floats the needle. Climb the wall to play the flute, or find the harp and learn to use it. Swallow down the red-hot stone and birth the maker. Make your music. Souls are creaking, firekeeper. Jump the threshold. Weave a people. What is it the dead don't do? The stories come. They come to you.
So right now, even though, I think I'm accomplished, I think I'm all that, I'm doing all these wonderful things in the world and in my life, I still struggle sometimes. I still have self-doubt. I still have problems placing value and worth on myself, my time, my craft, and my skills. But I'm so fortunate because I have a good ori, a good head, I have a good heart, and I serve a wonderful, beautiful, and awesome God that I call Olodumare. And so, this poem is called The Visitor. What are these signs and omens? What could they possibly mean? What evils lurk in the shadows? Their exact targets unknown, unseen. As paranoia sets in, my faith seems to step aside. I say I pray and ask for answers, but in reality, I just hide. Am I punishing myself for something I've done before? It seems that God speaks to me with messages I can't ignore. It seems to be my destiny to serve, protect, and teach. It feels like I have something to say, like I have lots of women to reach. But how can I make a difference when I question my blessings so? How can I share my knowledge when sometimes agony is what I know? These questions run through my mind every night as I drift off to sleep. My troubled spirit wanders and my soul just seems to creep. Please, God, send me some answers so that I may have some peace. That night an angel came to me as I drifted off to sleep. When Great Mother came to visit, she gave me kisses, hugs, and love. She led me to our garden and pointed at the sky above. She said, observe the sunlight, and we counted every ray. We celebrated the goodness and the beauty of the day. We stopped to smell the roses growing big and beautiful and wild. She sat me down and said to me, I have a message for you, my child. It's time for you to listen to the voices speaking inside. Stop turning your back on your truth and begin to show some pride. The goddess has blessed you with special knowledge, revealing secrets lost for years. Stop pretending you don't know what to do and push aside your paralyzing fears. The spirits that watch over you are angels that shower you with grace. You must begin to do the work. It's time to pick up the pace. Begin to pray from your heart. Stop thinking of the words. You have to stop doubting yourself when you feel it's God's voice you've heard. Be true to yourself and your dreams, and let no man lead you astray. Start trusting God and yourself, and open up for a clearer day. With that, she gently kissed me, stood and stretched her palms to the sky. The sun was rising as I woke up alone, and I heard her whisper, soar high.